Hi, my name is Brenda. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba, although I was born and raised in a small town called Manitou in Manitoba. Several years ago, I started a new job, and my desire to purchase property abroad started when I started to do research studies for physicians back in about 2006, and every year afterward I ended up going on a conference, Rome, across Europe and United States, and I started to get interested at that time in thinking about buying and maybe living abroad at some point in the future. Initially, when we traveled, I thought maybe Rome would be a great place to buy a property, and for a while we thought Rome probably was a good spot, didn't we?
Yeah, I like Rome. Rome was very exotic, lots of historical sites. The weather was warm, very pleasant. But along the way we discovered that Rome didn't quite have everything that we were looking for. By the way, my name is Ray. I'm a professor here at the University of Manitoba. And I also, with Brenda, we go to a lot of conferences and we like to visit a lot of different cities. We've been to several places in Europe. Brenda, what would you say is your favorite city in Europe?
I had to think of a lot of things when you're going to buy a property. It's not just the emotional aspects of buying a property and where you want to be, it's the practical aspects. So you have to think of things like transportation and weather and various things like that. Paris has fairly nice warm summers, but it also has relatively mild winters. Here in Winnipeg, we can have temperatures go minus 30 below. So part of the reason I thought is that I wanted to get out of these winters, where at some days it's a struggle to even put your toe out the door, it's so cold. So that was part of the reason why I chose Paris. I think was a good spot. It has great transportation as well. Really good subway and train system across Europe, so you're very central. Part of the reason is, of course, if you just have a look around the room here, I'm an avid collector of art and antiquity, especially African art. And the European cities have great flea markets, which was another thing that appealed to me. And France, of course, has fabulous flea markets, so that was part of the reason why I thought it would have been a great place to purchase.
In addition to the flea markets, you have to remember there's a lot of bookstores and museums and different marchés that include antiquities but also more recent stuff, which is what I tend to like. So I think it's a good mix of different things that we can see and buy and enjoy.
Neither one of us speaks French, so that might be a bit of a barrier, although I think a lot of Parisians are fairly wide spoken of English, so it's not a terrible problem, although probably we'll have to brush up on our French somewhat.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important that we learn some French. But you know, on my last trip I noticed that a lot of the people, even if they didn't speak English, they could pretty much understand what I was trying to communicate. Mm-hmm. So I think it did work out.
So all in all, I think we ended up considering Paris as the place to be, and I think I'll definitely not have any regrets. What about you?
Well, the thing is about Paris, I have to say it's a bit expensive, particularly in the upscale districts. So what we wound up doing is we looked just north of Paris, in a little village called Saint-Denis. And it's so close to Paris, you could consider it really part of the city. It's very convenient by public transit. It has all of the amenities that we need.
And it becomes, I think, another Andrassment in 2016.
Oh, that's amazing. Then everyone's going to take notice of Saint-Denis. That'd be great. I like Saint-Denis because it has a small town feel, and yet you're close to the cosmopolitan environment of central Paris. So that was the big attraction for me, definitely. What about you? What is it that you think you'll be looking forward to when you visit Saint-Denis?
Well, like I mentioned, getting out of these winter wonderland temperatures here in Winnipeg. Again, the vast scale of it, there's millions and millions, 10 million people. And I'm looking more interested in the mom and pop type restaurants and mom and pop shops. Again, like we get a little bit too much of the big box stores and the, chain restaurants. So that's one big appeal for me.
Well, the thing is, I noticed that in Saint-Denis there's a lot of diversity in cultures and different ethnic groups. And you see this in not just the foods and the takeouts, but also just in the way that people shop and go around and look at things. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to our second apartment, definitely.